All right. In today's video, we're going to address a bet that I made at the end of the last year about market cap. And I actually enjoyed the bet with the other individual. They are extremely intelligent. They've been in markets for a long time. And I want to address all their concerns in this video. And, he's asked that I apologize to people, but I don't think I need to. I think that I'm going to explain in this video what people need to understand about market dynamics today and where they're going in the future. And I will agree with this individual that the market capitalization of crypto today works the same way that it does in traditional markets, but over time it'll transition, and that's what we're going to get into today. So most people see market cap as a hard limit, and they would be right. Again, under today's paradigm, they hear numbers like $1 trillion, $5 trillion, and they say immediately, "There's no way that's possible. There isn't even enough money." And that reaction is very logical, but it's based in a misunderstanding of how markets actually work and how, more importantly, crypto is going to work in the future. So today, I'm going to walk you through why market capitalization feels right now and why this is going to be misunderstood in the future. And also, as crypto networks become a global infrastructure, really these arguments are just going to become kind of silly. So let's start with the basics. What is market cap? Well, it's just price times supply. That's it. It does not mean that the amount of money has flowed into the asset. It means that there's an implied value based on the last trade at the margin in a market. In stock markets, this works reasonably well because the shares are all representation of ownership and capital moves slowly. Liquidity is gated and markets are often closed most of the day. Market cap in equities is really a proxy for how much capital that market can absorb within the current financial system. And that's the important qualifier. So when someone says there isn't enough money for this asset to reach those valuations, what they're really saying is there isn't enough deployable capital inside today's system that can move there comfortably and safely. And right now, that is a fact. Capital today is constrained by mandates, risk models, regulatory frictions, settlement delays, and currency silos. So markets feel like there's a ceiling, not because it's a law of nature, but because capital mobility is limited. So here's the key distinction most people miss. Market cap does not control price. Liquidity controls price. In both stocks and crypto, price is set at the margin. Only a small portion of supply actually trades, and a relatively small flow can actually create a much larger valuation. And this is why billions in market cap can appear when only millions of net inflows have actually moved into the stock or the crypto. And that's not manipulation. That's just how these markets work. So again, as of today, crypto uses the same market cap formula, but it lives in a completely different structure. Crypto does not have the same market constraints as legacy markets do. They trade 24/7, 365. They're global, and there's nearly instant settlement with no centralized liquidity gatekeepers like we have on the traditional side. So the volatility is much, much higher, not because crypto is immature, but because it has less friction. Crypto markets today are small and they're thin, and the margins exaggerate price movements in both directions. As they mature and this transition happens, things are going to change a lot. Stocks are assets that you allocate into. Crypto networks are becoming rails that move value across the globe and really the underlying infrastructure of how that's going to become liquid in the future. That's the fundamental difference. It's a completely different category. Now, they're priced today as the same thing because that's what people have for the analogy and that's what they can apply to it. But as these networks become used, they'll be settling payments, moving collateral, clearing trades, tokenizing assets. There'll be bridge currencies, and you'll no longer be talking about a speculative asset. You'll be talking about a financial infrastructure. So when that happens, a relative analogy I could give you today, because a lot of people are going to see, look at the stock market and apply that to crypto. I would challenge you to apply these networks and protocols to something more like TCP/IP or Swift or a clearing system, because infrastructure isn't bought, it's held and used, and value flows through it. So as crypto markets mature, liquidity is going to become structural. Volatility is going to compress, and price is going to reflect usage, not the hype behind speculation. And capital is also going to stop parking wherever it's at and start moving through these networks. It doesn't make sense at all that the stamps would limit the amount of it. You don't even require the same thing to move that money or that data like you would in email. And when it changes, saying this network can't move X because it exceeds Y, it'll be like saying email can't scale because postage stamps are limited. It's a category error. And this is where people are going to have to invert their thinking. Early on, market cap constrains adoption. Later, adoption constrains market cap. The direction flips. Price stops leading usage, and usage starts leading price. And when that happens, valuations expand non-linearly. Networks become invisible, but they're indispensable. They will be the bedrock of how things move. And the biggest gains are already behind the headlines when that happens. Market cap arguments today are not stupid. They're actually very valid, and those espousing those things are very intelligent people. They're just locally correct for today's system. But as the system changes, and when you try to value tomorrow's global infrastructure using yesterday's frameworks, you're systematically underestimating it. And that's not just my opinion. That is the opinion of every major technology shift that's happened in the past. That's how it's worked. The frameworks have shifted, the way things are valued shift, and insights and market cap continues to expand far beyond what people would have thought, a decade ago. So hopefully this helped clarify things for you, and we'll keep breaking down the structure behind the price because that's where the real conviction comes from. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.